Welcome to Nugget 59 with Steve Groman. This is a replay of our Facebook Live number 5 on the coronavirus. In this nugget, we will focus on 3 truck drivers: the French toast trucker, a milkman, and one that drives a flatbed hauling steel. Here's that video.
Well, hello. Here we are with our, 5th coronavirus update. But we're not talking coronavirus like everybody. That's all that's on the news. We're kind of giving some inside, interesting information about the way the country is moving through this thing. And we talked about yesterday about some truckers, and we talked before that about some nurses and first responder people and doctors and such. And interesting to see what makes the country move and how it's moving and surviving through this mess. So here we go. We're going to be talking about some more truck drivers.
All right. Yesterday we told you that we had a friend that we called the French toast trucker. Well, this is why he's called the French toast trucker.
Almost hard to say.
Yeah. Before we met him, like 25 years ago, he was delivering bread. And then when we met him, he was delivering milk. And he was delivering milk for years and years and years. And most recently, he has been delivering eggs. So everyone calls him the French toast trucker. I'm sure you can have figured that out. All right. We actually experienced Y2K with this man and his family. That was quite an experience. So we've known him for a really long time. What he does is deliver eggs right now, as we mentioned. He picks them up from local farms in the Vermont, New Hampshire area. He actually goes directly to the farm. Some have 1 barn, some have 2, some have 3. And then he takes them to a processing plant in Monroe, New Hampshire, where they are graded and washed and packaged, and then he loads them on. They're loaded on his truck, and he drives 4.5 hours one way into northern New York, where at this point in time, because of the situation, he is distributing eggs to people at an apple orchard. I believe he said apple orchard, but he did say orchard instead of going to the store. So that's kind of interesting. It's just they have chosen that as the central location.
Staging area.
Right, a staging area, I guess is the best way to put it. He is carrying 900 dozen eggs per pallet, and he's carrying 12 pallets. You do the math on that's a lot of eggs. He is mainly on back roads. If you've ever been in Vermont, New Hampshire, New York, you know there is no way to go east-west. So he was on 2-lane highways, and it takes him a long time to get across for where he is. He says there are a lot of procedural differences, not necessarily at the farms, but he is no longer allowed in the processing plant at all. He says that he's actually narrowed down to what stores he even stops at. He would be driving along the road and decide, I need a sandwich or I want to go get a Coke or something, and he would just pull into anywhere that there was a store that his rig would fit in. He doesn't do that any longer. He's narrowed it down to particular stores that he goes to. Most places don't allow you to take in travel mugs. He said a lot of times if a trucker took in his travel mug, they'd give him a free beverage, but no longer. They are just rather giving them a free cup of coffee or free drink instead. He doesn't interact with most truckers just because he is on this rural route. All the places are closed to eat in for truckers. They all have to just do to-go things. And he made an interesting observation. Because so many people are they're not out and about. He says it's like he's driving through ghost towns. And that's kind of interesting. That was some interesting terminology they told us. He says that the rest area buildings are all closed, that they can't use them, but they have the cleanest porta potties he's ever seen in his life, which is nice. He has a sleeper truck. He's self-contained, has a microwave and refrigerator, and he says that a lot of the clerks at the truck stops, they're just frustrated, and we can see that. They're probably working long hours like he is. His family is doing fine. There's no tension. There's no fear. He is gone 6 out of 7 nights, and so that is what his family is used to. He's just a really cool guy, the French toast trucker.
French toast trucker.
Right.
Yeah, and then we talked to another young man who is a friend of ours we've known for many, many years also. When we met him, he was just, an 18-year-old young man and doing great as of now. He's been with this company for 18 years now. But he hauls milk. He hauls milk from Pennsylvania to the Washington, D.C. area. And I talked to him about 4 years ago, and we were on the phone just talking, and he was pulling into the Pentagon to deliver their milk. He would deliver to the White House complex and the government buildings in D.C. But now he doesn't do that anymore. He's got a new route, and he actually likes it better. He mainly delivers to Whole Foods, and the shelves are empty. He said the hours are 7 to 2 is when he's supposed to be. 7 in the morning.
That's when they accept deliveries.
When they
at the
accept
stores.
deliveries, right? That's what hours are supposed to be. But he gets there. If he gets there early, they're happy to see him. And he said the attitude of people towards the truckers, he's noticed. It's funny that all these guys have said the same thing, that the attitude about these guys is greatly, and not just guys, they're gals too, but is greatly improved because they're appreciated, delivering the stuff that we need still, even through
the store
no matter
manager,
what.
He says they're like greeting him at the docks,
happy,
going, "Oh, we're so glad to see you.
just
We don't care.
totally
It's
happy.
9:30 at night. We're just grateful you're
Totally
here."
different attitude
But he does
about
say he wears an N95 mask
he
every
wears a
time
mask
he's out
every
of the
time he's
truck.
out of his truck. And
Right.
anyway, he picks the milk up at the farms and he unloads them in the big stainless steel vats, I guess silos you call them, and they pasteurize, homogenize, bottle, all that in like one fell swoop. It's just a continual process. I didn't know that. I just always kind of thought they would sit over here for 2 or 3 days or a week or whatever, I don't know, and then over here, but it's just a single process type thing. He said it's really it's
Yeah,
fascinating.
he didn't
to
know
see.
the exact timing, but it's very short term from out of the truck. He said it takes a half an hour to empty his tanker.
Yeah, half an hour to unload it, and then half an hour also to
Sanitize
sanitize it
it,
afterwards.
right.
They're very, very strict about
If
the
you've
cleanliness.
never gone to a dairy
It's an interesting thing.
or a dairy farm,
you might want to, or you might not.
right? Yeah, you might
take
not.
your pick.
Yeah, might be drinking milk.
But
for a while.
he also, if he needs more hours, he will just pick up milk from the farms and take it to the dairy instead of from the dairy to the stores. But when he does, they had to get a special license for that too, special permits and trainings and things. But he's one of these guys that, when you see him, don't forget, give him the cord, because pull the cord, I think is what they call it. The truckers call it. That we don't do that anymore. But
he gets up like at 2:30
he
in the
gets up
morning.
way early in the morning,
There
and
are some of
a lot
us
of
that
people-
don't go to sleep till 2:30
It's
in the
amazing
morning.
how many people like
But,
this and
yeah.
nurses and doctors and such. We
that
know
are
that
just
they're
getting up so
man, they just-
early. And
Anyway.
he said a couple of cute things. One thing is that the gas tank the fuel tank, I'm sure it's diesel,
Fuel, yeah.
that is at their dairy, because he works with his company and he only has to go a 2-hour drive one way and back, so he doesn't have to stop to get fuel. He just gets it there at the company, and their big tanker that they fuel up on is painted like a Jersey cow.
Yeah, it's kind of cute.
Well, he said that he used to deliver to schools,
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. Just want to make
restaurants,
sure.
and colleges, but
Yeah, because they are shut down, like we talked about yesterday also. There is no demand there because there are no people there. And so they have almost a backlog of milk, because the cows don't know this. The cows are still producing what they produce, And so there's a surplus of milk, and they don't have anything to do with it. They can only process so much and deliver so much. And so they're actually hauling it to larger dairies and processing facilities that make cheese and butter and cottage cheese and other things
right,
with
'cause
it.
that's
So
still in demand
they are
also.
selling it still.
Our final trucker, he has been an awesome supporter of our ministry for many years. He is actually an immigrant from Poland. He's been here over 30 years. He loves his country. He loves our president and is very supportive of the U.S. But we talked with him because he hauls into Canada, and he owns a flatbed, and he is a steel hauler. He hauls coil rods. But he says that 70% of the steel that he is taking from the Gary, Indiana mills goes mainly to Hamilton,
Canada.
yes, Toronto, Ontario, Canada area. But it's 70% is going to autos, to make automobiles.
cars, yeah.
But that's not happening right now as much, and so he's actually had to try and get some other loads and carry actually building material. So he's having to adjust his load to use tarps and different things like that. He said that actually the tariffs that were put in place hurt the steel industry, especially his company going into Canada, but that since the USMCA was passed, things are picking back up because the coronavirus. His particular industry hauling has gone down a little bit, but he supports everything, and he says it's going to boom back. He's not.
He's fully
concerned
still
about.
expecting the best
Right.
year, his best year ever. But what's interesting about that too is the tariffs did hurt that industry, and no question about it. It hit him hard. The people involved in it, not the news, what you hear, but the people involved in it, they were fine with it because they understood why, and they understood it was a needed thing. This is what he said. They were still behind the president. They weren't worried at all. And now with the USMCA, it's on its way back in a big way. So interesting to hear from somebody on the front lines of that process.
And like our first trucker that we talked about, who was delivering chickens and beef into the city of Chicago, our friend, he was also delivering into Chicago, and he was like dreading it also, but he said that he surmises that the traffic was down 70% as far as car traffic. And he's glad to see that people are taking this seriously and listening to our president as far as keeping home and staying home and all that. And he says he hopes that this will cause people to reflect on what is important in life, and that's true. He said paperwork has definitely changed, that they give him gate passes, they don't go inside anywhere anymore, the machines are automated. He says that they quickly rolled over. I said, what do they just have, like a printer up at the gate? He goes, basically, and they just, send a piece of paper out, and then he knows where he needs to go and what he needs to do. Half his volume that he deals goes into Canada, as we said, and he deals with the Border Patrol, and he says the Border Patrol are great, that even though he is not probably technically essential because he's not a food, that they understand that what he's hauling is essential to the economy.
Correct.
And so he is considered essential in that. He was talking about that he's a super patriot, obviously, as I've mentioned in different ways, but he says he talks to the truckers and the different people in the Toronto-Hamilton region, and this region there is super impacted by immigrants. And he goes, and the immigrants are not Canadians. They don't want to be Canadians. They aren't Canadians. But he was talking to a particular Iranian immigrant that he goes, I love Canada. I appreciate Canada taking me in. I want to be a Canadian. He goes, that was refreshing for him because he was an immigrant from Poland, and him and his dad, they acclimated. They wanted to be American, and he loves our country because he had seen the tragedy of socialism in his home country of Poland, and he didn't want to live there. He didn't want to grow up and raise a family in that kind of situation. Again, he is gone 5 days a week, and sometimes he can get stranded, and so he's only home 2 days a week. So we want you to pray for these men, especially just pray for all the truckers, but for these 6 guys that we have talked about, people that we know and we love and appreciate.
Yeah, and another interesting thing, because concerning the Canada issue, and not badgering Canada, don't mean it that way at all, but he said that it's just the attitude is so different. He said here there's such a camaraderie and people are working with each other and trying to help each other and all that, and over there when he gets on the other side there, it's just not that way.
You don't have
the
same feeling at
all.
all.
No, it's not that way even close. I can't really say what all he said, but it's obvious it's different. Appreciate what's going on. It's a tough time, but it's we're going to get through this thing, and we're going to be better for it. In the long run, in the long haul, it's going to work out okay. But
I see some new people. I see some new people that are
folks following
watching
you.
us, and a lot of people are sharing our videos. When we go live like this, you can hit the watch party button, and it apparently sends out a message to all your friends, and we can just get this word out. And go back, because on our Facebook page on A Creation Seminar and Dana Groman, which is a mirror site, are all our previous Facebook Lives and the teaching that Steve did last Tuesday, and we plan to do another one this Tuesday coming up.
And check out our YouTube channel.
Yes, our YouTube channel, Steve Groman. We have tons of information on there, guys. You're all at home, and instead of boredom shopping, go to our Nuggets, and please tell people about our Nuggets, because we only have 300 subscribers. There's tons of information.
Supporters,
and,
followers.
Go watch our Nuggets.
A lot of info there.
Thank you. Keep
anyway,
in touch. We love you and appreciate you.
Go to YouTube tomorrow for the Saturday travel guide.
God bless our country, and God bless our president.
Amen.
Thank you for joining and watching our Nuggets. And thank you to those of you who join and watch our Facebook Lives on Sundays and on Tuesdays. On Sundays at 2 p.m. Central Time, Steve presents a Creation Seminar lesson. We're having a great response to this, and we will soon be doing these on YouTube live for our YouTube subscribers that do not do Facebook. And on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Central, Steve does a Walk in Faith lesson. And we are getting great feedback from both of these, so please spread the word, and thank you. As you know, our spring schedule has all been canceled, and not sure if our summer schedule will hold. So we are depending on you guys out there and our new listening audience to help support this ministry. Thank you very much.